this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Hi, this is Gronk from Dudes on Dudes. I'm here to tell you about protecting your end zone with wet, extra large flushable Dude wipes. Unlike dry wiping with toilet paper, Dude wipes clear instead of smear. Wetter cleans better. Goodbye dingleberries. Goodbye itch and irritation. Plus, if you take Gronk-sized grumpies, or as I like to call them, Gronkies, baby wipes won't do. You need extra big Dude wipes to handle the job. So don't fumble the ball with toilet paper. Stop being an a-hole to your b-hole and start using Dude wipes. Available on Amazon and major retailers nationwide. Dude wipes. Best clean, pants down.
Studies show that 100% of everybody in the world wants to curl up indoors and do nothing because it's so darn cold out there. That's why many people are turning to Bombas, whose pillowy plush slippers and warm merino wool socks have been said to be the most comfortable in the history of feet. Bombas products have been found to boost coziness by up to 1,000,000%. Okay, enough fake statistics, but could Bombas socks and slippers really be the cure? Go to bombas.com/audio and use code AUDIO for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com and use code AUDIO.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Hello, dear friends. I'm Robert Evans, and this is Behind the Bastards, the show where we tell you everything you don't know about the very worst people in all of history. Now, this is part 2 of our epic 2-part episode on Charles Koch. And with me, as within the first episode, is Ever Mainard.
Hello.
Star of The Feels on Netflix. Kickboxing expert?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. MMA commenter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a big YouTube commenter. I love
YouTube.
Yeah, Reddit, Yelp, any platform where I can make a comment, I'm gonna comment.
You know what I love about the internet is
Tell me.
It lets you anonymously threaten people.
Oh, it's
who live
never
far
anonymous.
away. Yes.
Bold print. Fight me.
So, last episode,
Yeah.
How would you sum up what we learned about Charles Koch last episode?
No joke, my tummy started rumbling and I thought I was going to have to run out to the bathroom because I was filled with a lot of sorrow. And then how many lives were destroyed, even through like cancer and that like lineage of that one story of like, like his family's fucked. But then, at one point it's like, what a blessing. He has a job, he has stability. But then that thing ended up being the snake that bit him.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's, we don't even know about.
In a way, that's him but being like, hey, like what was it? Like you can pay to be a slave or get.
Yeah, the Freedom School, which Charles Koch funded early on in his life.
In a way, it's sort of like that without them realizing it.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, if you won't sell yourself into slavery, I will show you as little human concern as I would show for a slave, and then just trust that most of you won't realize how badly you got fucked over and sue me.
No.
Yeah, because like Daniel Carlson, that guy sued, but I'm going to guess there's a lot of people who didn't sue who got fucked over and just didn't connect the dots well enough.
Yeah.
got leukemia and assumed it was their cigarette smoking rather than being bathed in benzene all day long. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I want to open this up by repeating a quote Charles Koch wrote in that 1978 Libertarian Reader article, where he sort of argued that business owners should fight against government regulation at all cost. Do not cooperate voluntarily. Instead, resist wherever and to whatever extent you legally can, and do so in the name of justice. So let's start today by talking about some more of the shit Charles Koch and his company did in the name of justice. Yes. I'm going to quote from the book Dark Money here. Carnell Green was a pipeline technician and gas meter serviceman for Koch Industries when he ran afoul of the management. He had to work for the company from 1976 until 1996, during which time he said he was told to sweep mercury spills from the 36 gas meters he monitored out on the door and onto the ground. He said that he was also told to dispose of the old meters, which contained about a quart of mercury each, in dumpsters, and to pour additional containers of mercury down the sink.
No.
As he witnessed his supervisor doing.
You're lying.
No. Green said the mercury was so pervasive when he got home, balls of it would roll off of his clothes and out of his shoes.
No!
Yeah. 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 That's not right. That's not good. Not supposed to pour mercury down the sink. Getting that in the water table's bad.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think Charles Koch drinks a lot of tap water. So when Green made a fuss about the rampant mercury exposure, he was approached by FBI Special Agent Mormon, who told him that he was lying about this and he'd better shut up if he knew it was good for him. Green's supervisor gave him a statement to sign to confirm that he hadn't seen any mercury in Koch buildings.
So he got the FBI involved to bully this?
Oh,
no! Okay.
When Green
wasn't
filed,
the FBI at all.
It was not the FBI at all.
Oh my gosh, there was an episode in Riverdale where...
Okay.
Where this guy's like, I'm an FBI agent. Or she's like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, I need you to be a mole. And then it turned out, ding dong, it was that dude's dad. He had a guy pretending to be an FBI agent. Now I see where the writers got it.
It happens a shitload in the Koch story.
Oh.
This is the only time we're bringing it up at here, but in Dark Money and in other reports, there's a ton of times where Koch security
They're like,
people,
by the way, we're FBI.
We're with the FBI.
And then they had bullied them. Wow, okay, didn't mean to interrupt, but continue.
No, it's fine. So Green, the guy who was not comfortable with all of the mercury poisoning he was seeing, filed a complaint with OSHA anyway and was fired for making false statements. It later turned out that Special Agent Mormon was a Koch security employee and not an FBI agent, as you guessed.
That's got to feel really good for that. All parties involved, that fake FBI agent, the manager. Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. So there is a long history, as you might have guessed, of regulatory fuckery by Koch Industries. Thanks to a tangled web of NDAs, hush payments, and law nonsense, it's often hard to pin down the exact consequences.
Law nonsense.
It's a good name for a TV show. Yeah. It's hard for us, though, to get like exact numbers. This is how many people were hospitalized or made sick or whatever. But there are some crystal clear examples we get of times Charles Koch's corporate philosophy got people killed. In 1996, a man in Kemp, Texas, noticed an odd gassy smell all around his neighborhood. We're both Texans, listeners,
by the
in
way.
case you didn't catch this from the first one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I get it. The Koch brothers really fucked around a lot in Texas. Yeah.
A lot of open space.
Yeah. So a man in Kemp noticed an odd gassy smell around his neighborhood. He sent his daughter, Danielle Smalley, and her friend, Jason Stone, to go report it. The two 17-year-olds got into their car and turned it on, and a spark from the ignition lit the gas and caused a gigantic explosion that killed them both instantly. Here is a quote from South Coast Today, a newspaper reporting on it at the time. Quote, flames reaching dozens of feet high and a column of black smoke could be seen for miles, and firefighters from 6 communities were called in. While I was sitting there, it ignited, said resident Rick Burgett. The flames came almost up to the front door of my house. It was probably about 150 degrees on my porch. The culprit was found to be an 8-inch wide gas pipeline stretching from Medford, Oklahoma to Mont Belvieu, Texas, and operated by Koch Industries. Calls to company headquarters in Wichita, Kansas, Saturday night were not answered. So, when the feds started examining the pipeline, they found severe corrosion and mechanical damage so extensive it was described as, quote, Swiss cheese. Koch Industries had actually stopped using the pipeline in 1992, but in 1995, they realized they could start making a few $1 million extra a year if they got it back into service. So they did the minimum amount of necessary repair work. I'm going to quote now from a Rolling Stone article, Inside the Koch Brothers' Toxic Empire. When Koch decided to start it up again in 1995, a water pressure test had blown the pipe open. An inspection of just a few dozen miles of pipe near the Smalley home found 538 corrosion defects. The industry's term of art for a pipeline in this condition is Swiss cheese. According to the testimony of an expert witness, essentially the pipeline is gone. So this is what a witness says at the time. Like the pipeline almost doesn't exist. It's so full of holes. So Koch Industries repaired 80 of the 538 defects.
Just 80?
Just enough that it could pass a pressure test again. And then they started flowing highly explosive shit through it. Now, 1 month after they started running fluid again, Koch employees found that one of the anti-corrosion systems they'd installed had malfunctioned. They just didn't fix it. The pipeline repair efforts had occurred during a time when Charles Koch had told his managers he wanted costs cut so that they could increase profits by $550 million per year. That April, he'd sent out a message that demanded expense cuts of 10%, quote, through the elimination of waste. I'm sure there is much more than that. Of course, the getting this pipeline back in option and not putting in not properly repairing it was part of this cost-cutting thing. And it led to 2 deaths and a huge amount of property damage.
I think it led to a lot more than 2 deaths.
Yeah. It led to 2 deaths that are very easy to trace to it. Yeah. I mean, who knows from the poisoning?
Yeah, exactly.
Because gas is leaking out everywhere. It can't be good for people or the water
and the
table.
soil and
crops grown in it.
Exactly what we're
animals.
eating.
Yeah. There was a trial, of course, and it did not go well for Koch Industries. Here's the Rolling Stone again. A former Koch manager, Kenneth Wittstein. Yeah.
Who cares?
It's also, look at how this fucking name is spelled. Look at how this name is spelled. Everything is spelled wrong.
Oh.
Knoth.
A former Koch manager. Kenneth Whitestein!
Yeah. So,
Kenneth, get over here!
a former Koch manager, Kenneth Whitestein, testified to to incidents in which Koch Industries placed profits over public safety. As one supervisor had told him, regulatory fines, quote, usually didn't amount to much. And besides, the company had, quote, a stable full of lawyers in Wichita that handled those situations. When Whitestein told another manager he was concerned that unsafe pipelines could cause a deadly accident, this manager said that it was more profitable for the company to risk litigation than to repair faulty equipment.
A lot like life insurance or car insurance, insurance companies in general.
Yeah. Weird that all of these people are terrible in the same way. The company could, quote, pay off a lawsuit from an incident and still be money ahead, he said, describing the principles of market-based management to a T. Yeah. So, Kenneth. No, Kenneth is the guy who tried to report some of the unsafe stuff.
I know,
and did.
but
Yeah,
just that name.
We should, but just Kenneth, Kenoth. It's Kenneth. We all know the name.
No, it's Kenneth.
I'm judgmental and angry.
Talk about a Wichita lineman, am I
right? So yeah, Rolling Stone draws a direct connection between
Mm-hmm.
these deaths and what was done with that pipeline and market-based management. Because under market-based management, again, the whole company, all these business units are competing, but it also sort of encourages people to look at fines. You know, a fine is supposed to be a punishment for doing something wrong, for causing damage. But in Koch's companies, they weren't seen that they were seen as essentially a cheaper alternative to the repairs. The fines cost this much, the repairs cost this much. Oh, it's much more sound to pay for the fines if we incur them. So, Koch Industries was ordered to pay $296 million to Danielle's father. At that point in time, it was the largest wrongful death suit in U.S. legal history. They settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, but it was probably a significant amount of money, and this judgment actually hurt. It wasn't the only one either. As Koch Industries got in increasing hot water over the 1990s, they paid out more and more in legal fees and in fines. Charles Koch was even forced to acknowledge this, sort of, in his 2007 self-help book, The Science of Success.
Excuse me?
It was more of like a business book, but you know, you get the idea. Like, it was one of those books people who want to start businesses read.
Have you guys, while we're talking about him,
okay,
there's a documentary on Netflix. It's about this wine guy that fooled everybody. Have you heard about this?
No.
He's like a fake wine dude. And I think they
like a fake sommelier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like selling people all these like wines or like, you know, like.
See, that I support.
I think that they interview one of the Koch brothers.
Oh, good.
Koch brothers.
Oh, I hope he
Koch.
I hope he tricked him. I hope he
Yeah.
tricked them
I hope
and
he
made him
tricked you
buy a lot
guys.
of shitty
Yeah.
wine.
They're always getting swindled. Okay, anyways, he wrote a self-help book.
Yeah, he wrote this book, The Science of Success, where he sort of acknowledged all of this is what he wrote at the time. While business was booming, it was becoming increasingly regulated. We kept thinking and acting as if we lived in a pure market economy. The reality was far different. So this is what he boils it down to is, we just were acting like it was a pure market economy. And in a pure market economy, you can flow explosive gas through a pipeline that's not even functioning as a pipeline and runs directly into the homes of human beings because that's fine. The market says it's fine. So whatever you're doing is okay. It's all about the market. The market's his fucking...
That's his child.
That's his child. That's the force to
Right.
Charles Koch. And he's, again, Luke Skywalker of rich people. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't keep trying to draw it back to Star Wars, but
It's okay.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. And you can't, no one can stop me.
It's already been a theme running through the show. So.
Yeah. So the increasing regulatory costs and whatnot had a number of effects on Charles Koch and his businesses. One of these effects seems to be that his company started to obey more regulations and commit fewer blatant environmental crimes in the late 90s and early 2000s. Charles viewed this as a temporary setback. The laws were just a reflection of the culture, and he had a plan to change both. In 1976, Charles Koch helped to launch, via tens of thousands of dollars in funding, the Center for Libertarian Studies in New York City. Now, libertarianism wasn't much of a force in society at this point. Charles wanted to change that, and he knew he had to start by incubating a new generation, or in 1976. Did I say 96? I'm going to read this again. Sorry. In 1976, Charles Koch had helped to launch, via tens of thousands of dollars, the Center for Libertarian Studies in New York City. Now, libertarianism wasn't much of a force in society at this point, and Charles wanted to change that. He knew he had to start by incubating a new generation of political pundits who could help sell his ideology to the nation at large. Here's a quote from Charles. The development of talent is, or should be, the major point of all these efforts. By talent, I mean those rare, exceptionally capable scholars or communicators willing to dedicate their lives to the cause of individual liberty. Charles's actual political goals were terrifying to most Americans, even most conservatives. He supported an end to social security, to all forms of public welfare, to most of the military. One libertarian writer who interviewed him said his goal was to destroy government, quote, at the root. Now, there are a number of theories as to why this was Charles's mission in life. Clayton Coppin, that researcher who worked for Bill and Charles Koch and wrote a book about him, basically, thinks the latter's hatred of the government came out of the harsh discipline of his childhood. Quote, only the governments and the courts remained as sources of authority, so Koch had to destroy them too.
Oh, yeah.
That's this guy's theory, and it seems credible. By 1980, Charles Koch decided he'd had just about enough of sitting in the shadows, funding libertarian think tanks and ignoring life-saving regulations. It was time to get political, or rather, it was time for his brother David to get political, because Charles was really, really into being the whole guy pulling strings from the shadows.
Right, cool.
So, since the Koch brothers were by this point billionaires in the sort of their own right, they decided that jumping into state-level politics or even running for Congress was too small beans for them. Since they were already supporting the Libertarian Party presidential candidate, Ed Clark, in the 1980 election, they decided to just make David his running mate. This allowed them to conveniently ignore all limits on campaign contributions. Since David was running, he could spend all the money he wanted, which he did, providing 60% of the Libertarian Party's election budget that year. During the election, Clark told The Nation, that magazine The Nation, that libertarians planned, quote, a very big tea party, because America was, quote, sick to death of taxes. The Clark-Koch campaign advocated for, among other things, the repeal of the minimum wage, the repeal of all child labor laws, the end of all forms of public assistance, and the destruction of the FDA.
Cool.
Yeah. That famous enemy of liberty, the FDA. You know what I hate is when people tell me I can't sell expired food to kids.
Tell me about it.
Really pisses me off.
Really gets me going.
They have the freedom to eat expired food.
They should make that decision themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You get it.
Yeah, I
Hey,
understand
these guys
liberty.
get it.
Yeah, these guys understand freedom. Freedom is lying about the age of a shockingly, most Americans did not get on board with the Koch platform of let children work and sell people poison. The Libertarian Party was probably received less of the vote that year than perennial write-in candidate Batman. Told you Batman showed up in this. Yeah. It was a heavy blow to Charles, but being a heroic soul, he was not about to let the bastards grind him down. He refined his strategies, and in 1996, he finally got it right. During that election cycle, he and his brother found a way to funnel millions of dollars, probably more than they'd ever spent on an election, towards a variety of right-wing candidates. We know that through their company, they spent $320,800 on congressional candidates that year. But the Senate campaign finance investigators suspect they spent millions and just funneled it through a variety of dark money groups. One of these groups was a company called Triad Management. Triad spent a huge amount of money running vicious attack ads in several very close races. One of these was the race between Sam Brownback, a Republican, and Jill Docking, a Democrat, in Kansas. Shortly before the election, thousands of voters received this phone call. Quote, We think it's important for people to know that Jill Docking is Jewish. Please vote for Sam Brownback. That's the whole message?
We think it's important to note
that Jill Docking is Jewish. She didn't make a point of this in her campaign, so we'll let you know. Yeah. Now, this had a major impact on the election, which we'll get to in a minute, but it was noticed at the time. The blowback from all of this dark money and, rampant anti-Semitism led to a Senate investigation on illegal fundraising. America being America, the Republicans in the Senate focused on investigating whether the Clinton re-election campaign had illegally accepted money from China, while the Democrats focused on determining whether or not the Koch brothers and their fellow rich people had violated campaign finance law in order to support the Republican Party. To be perfectly fair, there absolutely seems to have been some shadiness between the Clintons, or at least their campaign, and Chinese donors. The LA Times actually broke that story. We're not going to go into detail here, but I don't want anyone to think that the Democrats are blameless in the dark money game here.
Oh, yeah.
That said, the Senate investigation into the 1996 election seems to have gotten so consumed with whataboutism that very little was actually done to stop the problems that had led to both scandals. The Democratic minority report in the investigation stated, quote, "The facts suggest that these individuals spent millions of dollars to effect over 24 federal elections despite operating completely outside of federal election laws." Now, we know that Triad spent $3 million on 26 House and Senate races in 1996, and we know that the Economic Education Trust, funded by the Koch brothers, paid for more than half of this. Democratic investigators found that most of the purchase ads were like that famous Brownback Jew ad, focused towards assaulting specific candidates rather than promoting anything. Most of the candidates targeted were in districts where the Koch brothers had large business interests. The money that was put into Triad was then poured out via two different nonprofits, Citizens for Reform and Citizens for the Republic, neither of which had any offices or desks, and both of which seemed to exist as just a way for Triad to further obfuscate their operations. Now, like I said, the other half of this investigation was into improprieties between China and the Clinton campaign. Republicans called for 320 subpoenas to investigate this, and they got 315. Democrats, meanwhile, called for 200 subpoenas to investigate all this Koch shadiness and received 89.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this doesn't seem fair, right?
Right.
Seems a little messed up. Whatever. The subpoenas that were issued revealed, among other things, $1 million in spending on 4 congressional races in Kansas, including $420,000 on television ads in the race between Sam Brownback and Jill Docking.
Brownback?
Yeah. And Jill Docking, who...
Docking.
I don't know if you caught on this, she was Jewish.
Important to note.
Very important. In 2002, the Federal Election Commission sued the owner of Triad Management for failing to register as a political organization. The owner, a lady named Malinik, was forced to pay a fine and submit donor receipts to the FEC. She refused to do this. She said, quote, "The bottom line is you can't buy your honor or integrity back. My word was my bond." She filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2006, but still stands by her work in the 1990s. She's claimed that Triad's business model was ahead of its time, which is hard to argue with.
Holy shit, it's crazy how these guys really are the pioneers and how much history is repeating itself.
They are the Christopher Columbuses of campaign
really
financing.
Slaughtering people.
Yeah, in a couple of ways.
Yeah.
In every way you could be the Columbus of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Terrible. You know what's not disgusting and terrible?
Tell me.
Products and services that support this podcast.
I 100% agree with you.
Well,
what are those products?
Oh, just you wait and see.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks, and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabay Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabay brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquid simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off, plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
And we're back. We just got finished talking about the 1996 elections in which the Koch brothers pioneered what we would now just describe as the way that election ads are funded. They sort of invented that in the 1990s.
Disgusting.
And, funneling dark money around through a bunch of different groups that you can attack.
But when you say
people.
Dark money, it sounds almost exotic.
Yeah.
So we got to try to change that.
Dark money. Yeah, it's like dark chocolate. And it's like, ooh,
dark
decadent.
money. I'm involved with some shady things, but don't worry, it's just dark money.
I would love to go out with a friend to a restaurant and then tip the waitress or waiter in dark money and be like, you know what? Because this was so good, I'm not going to pay you in regular money. Here's some dark money.
Thanks, Kanoff.
You spend that on something dark.
I feel sad.
Yeah,
I feel very sad after. When I came into this podcast, I felt great. I really did. I meditated for 2 hours today, and then now I'm just like, like I'm gonna go home and cry. Probably, I almost cried a minute ago.
Well, that's our goal with Behind the Bastards. I hope that when people listen to the show in their morning commute or during their workout, they're just a little bit more furious the rest of the day. Yeah.
Perfect workout juice. You know what else is great workout juice? Celsius.
I thought you were gonna do it. I'll do a Doritos ad. They're also great for workouts because they're high in protein compared to nothing. Some amount of protein.
Yeah.
Delightful.
I'm always down for some amount of protein.
That's the right amount. All right. Let's get back into the tale. Now, the money that the Kochs threw directly at elections during the late 90s and early 2000s was more of a stopgap than anything. From what I can tell, it was targeted at races that would directly impact Koch Industries' business. So most of what they're spending in this period, like the late 90s, is towards races where there would be a direct impact based on who won on their business interests.
Kind of what's going on right now. And it's always going on.
It's always going on. Charles Koch does a step above that because he's not just for a lot of companies, I think funding races that are going to, where if a certain person wins, that benefits the company, that's kind of the end of their thinking. Koch is playing a very long game here. He's not just trying to he's trying to change American culture.
I bet he's really hard right now, seeing what's going on.
Yeah. You might be surprised. From the late 1970s into the early 2000s, the Koch brothers, namely Charles, seeded a shitload of institutions and think tanks with their money. This was Charles Koch's long con. In 1978, he'd written that, quote, "Ideas do not spread by themselves. They spread only through people, which means we need a movement. Only with a movement can we build an effective force for social change." So for decades, he'd embarked on a strategy of funding academics and pundits, people like Lefebvre and his Freedom School, but also more mainstream libertarian groups like the Heritage Foundation or the Cato Institute.
You mean keto, as in the diet?
No.
Okay.
His goal with all this was to achieve something deeper than the short-term anger a racy campaign ad could spark. Charles believed that by promoting enough voices who'd repeat his ideas throughout the culture, he could change that culture. Now, according to Charles, young people were, quote, "the only group that is open to a radically different social philosophy." So they were the group he focused most of his resources on. In order to accomplish this, he and his fellow travelers looked to...
When you say travelers, I think of like a merry band. But this guy was not a merry band.
No. Are you going to guess who they looked to for advice on recruiting children?
Oh, tell me.
It's the Nazis!
No!
Yeah.
You're lying!
No, it's the Nazis.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to quote from Dark Money here.
Please.
In support of building their own youth movement, another speaker, the libertarian historian Leonard Liggio, cited the success of the Nazi model. In his paper titled National Socialist Political Strategy, Social Change in a Modern Industrial Society with an Authoritarian Tradition, Liggio, who was affiliated with the Koch-funded Institute for Humane Studies from 1974 until 1998, described the Nazis' successful creation of a youth movement as key to their capture of the state. Like the Nazis, he suggested, libertarians should organize university students to create group identity.
No!
Now, some people might say that if you ever find yourself saying, like the Nazis, we should do X, you're on the wrong side.
Right?
That's my thinking. Don't do what the Nazis did.
Right.
Ever.
Yes?
Yeah. This is not how Charles Koch felt.
He was like, efficiency.
The Nazis, that's where our money comes from.
It's important to note, she's Jewish.
Yeah, when you really tie together all of the little strands, it doesn't, he looks, Anyway, so George Pearson, a former John Birch Society member who later worked for Charles, was the first person to suggest to him directly that a great way to recruit the young would be to found scholarly institutes inside universities. Now, the Koch had for a while been giving money to universities, but when you give money to a school, they can spend it on anything, including on paying researchers and academics who might believe in things you don't agree with, or might do research that counteracts your own opinions.
Yeah.
You don't want that. Now, if you found a scholarly institute within a college, however, you have control over how that money is spent. So you can directly control new generations of thinkers and directly influence the pliant minds of their students. This brings us to the Mercatus Center, which the Chronicle of Higher Education describes as a, quote, libertarian-style think tank within George Mason University. From 2011 to 2014 alone, the Charles Koch Foundation put $50 million into the Mercatus Center. Now, Mercatus was founded by Richard Fink, a professor at the college who'd also been an executive vice president and member of the board of directors for Koch Industries. Here's the Chronicle. Mr. Williams' politics are no secret. On his bookshelves rest a bust of Adam Smith, the patron saint of unimpeded capitalism, and a copy of the Libertarian Reader. But Mr. Williams says that he is careful not to bring his opinions, hardened as they are, into the classroom. He scoffed at any suggestion that George Mason's economics department indoctrinates students with anti-regulatory free market messages. He does, however, hope his pupils will come to see the world just as he does. I would like my students to share my subjective opinions, Mr. Williams said. If they become hard-minded thinkers, they will adopt many of my opinions. Now, George Mason is a public university in Virginia, and not everyone who works there was as sanguine about the impact the Mercatus Center had on the freedom of dialogue within the university. Here's Carrie Meyer, an associate economics professor who describes herself as somewhat left of center. Quote, looking back on her career, Miss Meyer said she had held back in her scholarship at George Mason, gravitating towards vanilla topics such as a book based on the diaries of her family's farm. She did not want to rock the boat. Quote, I carefully chose my research so it wouldn't be objectionable to them, she said. Miss Meyer described her colleagues as smart economists, but said they collectively provide graduate students with a narrow view of the discipline. I would tell people that it's better to go to a place where they would get a broader education, she said. See, the Mercatus Center was an independent body within the university, so it's true that they had no formal power to influence the kind of research people published, but many professors at the school relied on the center for extra income. Mercatus paid out over $400,000 a year to 24 faculty members, people who then had a vested financial interest in not publishing any research that might disagree with Charles Koch's beliefs. Charles Koch himself said in an interview, quote, "If we're going to give a lot of money, we'll make darn sure they spend it in a way that goes along with our intent. And if they make a wrong turn and start doing things we don't agree with, we withdraw funding." So, this is how you change a university using tens of millions of dollars in dark money. Yeah, it's horrifying, right? This is not the only school he does this to. This is just the clearest example. Yeah.
Hope you listeners at the gym are getting jacked right now.
Yeah. Pump real hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are other academic institutes that have received Koch money. It's hard to say how many researchers and professors and writers around the U.S. have found themselves in a position of having to avoid disagreeing with Charles Koch in their work. But in 2013, the Center for Media and Democracy, which Politico describes as a, quote, liberal group, published research into the State Policy Network. Now, the State Policy Network operates in all 50 states and claims to be, quote, dedicated solely to improving the practical effectiveness of independent, nonprofit, market-oriented, state-focused think tanks.
I'm sorry, but that's a long sentence.
The Center for Media and Democracy basically says that the State Policy Network is a vehicle for pouring dark money into right-wing think tanks around the country.
Cool. Okay,
Here's Politico. According to the report's analysis of IRS filings, the State Policy Network and its think tanks' combined revenue in 2011 topped $83 million, in large part with funding from conservative dark money groups like the Donors Trust and Donors Capital Fund, which received large donations from groups tied to the Koch brothers and other prominent conservatives. Jeez. But yeah, so there's a lot of different buckets they're putting money into, and we will never know the extent of funding, but it is in the hundreds of millions, probably.
It's probably more than that.
That they're putting into just educational institutes. So with all this money spent to change academia, Charles Koch was essentially gambling that he'd profit more by building a small but utterly dedicated core of radical libertarian ideologists than he would by trying to publicize his extreme beliefs to the masses. His thinking here was entirely in line with what we know about the way the human brain deals with extreme ideas. In 2011, scientists at Rensselaer Polytechnic published a bunch of research into how ideas in human society tip from being the minority to the majority opinion. The scariest thing they found, or the most optimistic, depending on your angle, is that this happens very quickly once an idea reaches a certain level of saturation. Here's Boleslaw Szymanski, a distinguished professor at Rensselaer. When the number of committed opinion holders is below 10%, there is no visible progress in the spread of ideas. It would literally take the amount of time comparable to the age of the universe for this size group to reach the majority. Once that number grows above 10%, the idea spreads like flame. Yeah. Here's a quote from a Phys.org write-up on the research. In general, people do not like to have an unpopular opinion and are always seeking to try locally to come to a consensus. We set up this dynamic in each of our models. Says one of the paper's authors. To accomplish this, each of the individuals in the models, quote, talked to each other about their opinion. If the listener held the same opinions as the speaker, it reinforced the listener's belief. If the opinion was different, the listener considered it and moved on to another person. If that person also held this new belief, the listener then adopted that belief. So this was sort of a model that they set up in order to sort of represent how ideas might spread throughout a culture. And it's wise not to read too much into this because it's a study based on models of human behavior rather than actual people. And the study's authors specifically note that this model was not designed to replicate a polarized society with a bunch of different radical ideas in it. That said, if you've spent a lot of time reading about revolutions and protest movements, you can't deny that this all sounds somewhat congruous with observable reality, that there is a point of saturation. Once you hit a certain number of people pushing an extreme ideology, it can spread very, very rapidly. Yeah. So that study came out in 2011, a year in which revolution and unrest spread across the Arab world like wildfire. The study's authors were admittedly more concerned with explaining that than anything else. You know, they were trying to ask, like, how can a guy like Gaddafi be in charge for 40 years and almost overnight, you know, there's this movement builds up steam to put him out or whatever.
What was it overnight? Nothing.
Do
you think it was overnight?
I think if you talk to a lot of people who were involved in it, they would say that they were angry for years, but that they did not believe it was possible until
somebody was like, "It is possible."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There is a point at which the feeling that something like that is possible tips.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's sort of what Charles is trying to inculcate. If you can get just enough people that are real true believers, and it doesn't take a lot, you can start seeing an idea that's pretty extreme spread like wildfire.
What is that? Is it Bad Religion, that song? True Believers. What is that?
I don't know. I'm not good at
Let's
music.
edit that out.
Keeping it all in.
Kenneth.
Kenneth.
Yeah. All right, hit me, Daddy, with some more facts.
All right. So, the study's authors, like I said, were more interested in explaining, the Arab Spring than anything else. But by that point in 2011, Charles Koch was 2 years into fighting a revolution of his own to destroy a man he viewed as a living Death Star, Barack Obama.
Oh, tight. Okay, cool.
Despite the regulatory concerns, the 1990s and early 2000s has been a great time for the Koch brothers. They diversified from fuel refining to every imaginable kind of petro product. If it needed oil to produce, the Koch brothers were into that shit. They maintained an 84% ownership stake in their company and put 90% of their profits right back into the business.
Tight.
By 2006, Koch Industries made $90 billion per year in profit, compared to $70 million in 1960. So
Very
they are
cool. They're great businessmen.
Great businessmen.
I'd love to pick up their books.
It sounds like it's probably full of great stuff that you can generalize to your whole life
Yeah.
without becoming a terrible
A
parent.
monster.
Yeah. So the Bush years were good for them. Big surprise. Although they were super anti-Iraq war. That is one thing you can say for Charles Koch. He has been consistently anti-war, anti-U.S. intervention.
Interesting.
So, that is a pretty consistent with libertarian ideology. You know, you shouldn't be fucking around. It's too expensive. It's not like he
didn't do it for like moral
He didn't care about the
reason.
lives
but
of human beings.
Yeah, okay.
No, he just thought it was a waste of money.
Here I am. I'm like a spark of hope. Okay, no.
Just the money. The lives mean nothing.
Yeah.
So the Bush years were good for them, but they'd gotten a lot of what they wanted regulation-wise during his 8 years in power, which may have had something to do with the 2008 crash. But now we're digressing.
May I pick up on that digress? I did hear, didn't he say that there's going to be another crash coming up in like 2021 or 22?
I mean, we're lucky if it takes that long, right?
Like, I was working a job this past weekend, and like one of the I only got to like talk to him for part of it, but he was saying that one of the brothers was like, yeah, there's going to be a crash coming up.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, you're going to cause this crash for some...
Well, they're not much into real estate speculation. That might honestly just be them honestly looking at the market, because a lot of people are saying the housing market is due for another big crash.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be fair to these guys because they're assholes, but that may just be him looking at the writing.
And
at
just
the
being
wall.
like, hey,
Yeah.
it's coming.
This
Which
is-
I'm trying to
shit's
save
coming.
up my money. Look,
Yeah.
dude, I got like a couple $100. I'm trying to get myself a down payment, you know?
Hey, that's more than 80% of Americans keep in savings.
Yeah.
I think it's like 70-80% of the country has less than $1,000 in savings.
I believe it.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be great when the economy collapses and we eat these people.
You know what's crazy is when the economy collapsed the first time. I'll get back on subject. I see your little fingers. I was just a barista, so it didn't affect me at all. I was like, why is everybody so stressed? I'm still making minimum wage.
Yeah. Nothing's changed for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, boy. Yeah, during the Bush years, they got a lot of what they wanted regulation-wise, but they didn't like the Iraq war. Throughout this period, they also did support, to their credit, sentence reduction for nonviolent drug offenders, because they're not pro-drug war guys. So, again, it's not all bad with the shit the Koch brothers funds, but it's a lot bad. In fact, David Koch, who retired from political life recently, has shown gasps of being a human being over the last few years. In a 2003 speech to alumni at his prep school after he received a lifetime trustee status for a $25 million donation, David said this: "You might ask, how does David Koch happen to have the wealth to be so generous? Well, let me tell you a story. It all started when I was a little boy. One day my father gave me an apple. I soon sold it for $5 and bought 2 apples and sold them for 10. Then I bought 4 apples and sold them for 20. Well, this went on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, until my father died and left me $300 million. Which is, this is a little bit. Yeah. But that's David Koch.
Yeah.
Charles Koch has not joked about inherited wealth because he doesn't think estate taxes should be a thing. Anyway, the election of Barack Obama was a big watershed moment for Charles Koch. He claimed that the 2008 election would lead America to, quote, its greatest loss of liberty and prosperity since the 1930s, which didn't happen. I mean, maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed us losing all of our wealth and prosperity. But yeah, I didn't notice that. In his inaugural address, President Obama said, quote, without a watchful eye, the economy can spin out of control, a clear reference to what had just happened in a 2008 financial crash. This was heresy to Charles Koch, the man who'd urged resistance at all costs in the face of regulation. Never mind the fact that back in September of 2008, the Koch political organization Americans for Prosperity had reversed their opinion on bailouts when the Dow dropped 777 points and the stock market crashed. Then they'd supported $700 billion worth of government intervention.
Yeah.
But now that Obama was in the White House and talking about regulating Wall Street to avoid another crash, resistance to tyrants was the only option that remained for Charles Koch.
Yeah, of course.
Now, since 2003, Charles had been assembling a yearly meeting of major Republican donors, most of whom were billionaires or multimillionaires who had inherited their fortunes. The first Koch group meeting after Obama's election is best described as a war council. Here's dark money. Participants at the summits, for instance, were routinely admonished to destroy all copies of any paperwork. Be mindful of the security and confidentiality of your meeting notes and materials, the invitation to one gathering warned. Guests were told to say nothing to the news media and post nothing about the meetings online. Elaborate security steps were taken to keep both the names of the participants and the meeting's agendas from public scrutiny. When signing up to attend the conferences, participants were warned to make all arrangements through the Koch staff rather than trusting the employees at the resort, whose backgrounds were nonetheless investigated by the Koch security detail. In an effort to detect intruders and imposters, name tags were required at all functions, and smartphones, iPads, cameras, and other recording gear were confiscated prior to sessions. In order to foil eavesdroppers during one such gathering, audio technicians planted white noise-emitting loudspeakers around the perimeters, aimed outward towards any uninvited press and public.
Wow.
Yeah, they're treating it like a rebellion, they're running an underground revolutionary organization, which is what's happening. It's just that the people who are revolutionaries in this are the richest people in the country. Yeah.
I feel sick.
Yeah, it's super gross. We're gonna get into something not gross. Ads.
I love ads.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. Boy, howdy. Let's hear what they have to say about how you can support this show by spending money on other things.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks, and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slip covers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit WashableSofas.com to get yours now. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
Okay, so we've just gotten to the point where Charles Koch goes into full-on rebellion mode.
Yeah, he's like, white noise machines.
Yeah. He's doing all the spy stuff. He's portraying himself to at least other rich guys as like the leader of this rebellion. Now, there are two possibilities as I see them here. Number one, he really is ideologically committed to his course, and all this secrecy and the extreme language he uses is totally honest and based on his heartfelt beliefs about the world. Or he just wants more money in his pocket, and he donates what he has to donate because donation is better than paying taxes. His principled stand that businessmen should resist all regulation is more of an attempt to get other people to donate to his cause, since he's clearly willing to compromise with the government for his own interests. Mm-hmm. You can come to your own conclusion about whether or not Charles Koch's ideology is just a scam, essentially, or if he really believes this. He's in his 80s now. Yeah. Hard to say. Or maybe he's changed over time. Whatever the case, after Obama's election, the Koch brothers, mainly Charles, poured astronomical amounts of money into fighting the Obama administration. 18 other billionaires joined them during the president's first term. Together, they pooled money and resources to support politicians sympathetic to all of their interests. In essence, they formed a trade union for people who were born rich. Yeah. They'd held that big secret meeting during the month Obama was sworn in, and it had involved a debate between two Republican senators. Because when you're rich, you can just have senators debate for you.
Yeah, train, what is it? Not the train union. Or maybe, a senator bought the union. Anyways, I have some family members that work. They're train conductors. And it's not the train union. Maybe it is, but they bought a senator who changed all these rules, and it's like, when you have money, you can just buy. You
can just buy these guys. So these rich guys had during that big meeting two Republican senators, John Cornyn and Jim DeMint, argue in front of them to basically determine what course the Republican Party should take after McCain's big defeat by Obama. So Cornyn basically argued that the 2008 election proved the Republican Party needed to get more moderate, make a bigger tent, and accommodate more people so that they could win elections honestly again. Jim DeMint, on the other hand, said, fuck that noise. We should only go further and further to the right. Compromises for cowards. Can you guess which side of the argument Charles Koch backed? Yeah, compromises for cowards. So the Koch brothers became a major force behind the foundation of the Tea Party movement. One Republican campaign consultant was quoted in The New Yorker as saying of the Tea Party, the Koch brothers gave the money that founded it. It's like they put the seeds in the ground, then the rainstorm comes and the frogs come out of the mud and there are candidates. Mm-hmm. Which, that's not how seeds or frogs work, but he's in politics, not in farming or
knowledge.
Yeah, general knowledge about biology.
Frogs from the mud.
Classic mud frogs.
Oh, no.
Came out of seeds like frogs do. A 2010 New York Times article broke it down this way, or broke down the funding of the Tea Party movement this way.
Break it down for me.
The other major sponsor of the Tea Party movement is Dick Armey's Freedom Works, which, like Americans for Prosperity.
Dick Armey?
Dick Armey. Yeah. Okay. He's a real guy. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, we should, it's fine. It's fine to marinate in the enjoyment of, his name's Dick Armey. Yeah, it's good. The other major sponsor of the Tea Party movement is Dick Armey's Freedom Works, which, like Americans for Prosperity, is promoting events in Washington this weekend. Under its original name, Citizens for a Sound Economy, Freedom Works received $12 million of its funding from Koch family donations. Using tax records, Mayer found that Koch-controlled foundations gave out $196 million from 1998 to 2008, much of it to conservative causes and institutions. That figure doesn't include the $50 million in Koch Industries lobbying and $4.8 million in campaign contributions by its Political Action Committee, putting it first among energy company peers like ExxonMobil and Chevron. Since tax law permits anonymous personal donations to nonprofit political groups, these figures may understate the case. The Koch surely matched the in-kind donations the Tea Party receives in free promotion 24/7 from Murdoch's Fox News, where Beck and Palin are on the payroll. So, Charles Koch and David have denied any part in the astroturfing of the Tea Party movement, but investigative reporting by Tacky Oldham, director of AstroTurf Wars, which is a documentary, found very direct evidence that this was bullshit. Here's a quote from The Guardian. Oldham infiltrated some of the movement's key organizing events, including the 2009 Defending the American Dream Summit, convened by a group called Americans for Prosperity. The film shows David Koch addressing the summit. 5 years ago, he explains, my brother Charles and I provided the funds to start Americans for Prosperity. It's beyond my wildest dreams how AFP has grown into this enormous organization. The convener tells the crowd how AFP mobilized opposition to Barack Obama's healthcare reforms. Quote, we hit the button and we started doing the Twittering and Facebook and the phone calls and the emails, and you turned up. Then a series of AFP organizers tell Mr. Koch how they have set up dozens of Tea Party events in their home states. He nods and beams from the podium like a chief executive receiving rosy reports from his regional sales directors. Afterwards, the delegates crowd into AFP workshops where they are told how to run further Tea Party events. So, the word that these guys went as the Tea Party's totally original movement that started on its own and whatnot, but the evidence suggests that they funded and directly planned how it was going to be carried. And if you remember back in 1980, when David Koch ran to be vice president of the Libertarian Party, his running mate had said that that election would be the ignition of, quote, a new Tea Party. So their thinking has been in this long before the election of Barack Obama provided the political impetus.
He was just a flame to the fuel. Exactly.
And also the time hadn't been right in the 80s because they spent the decades since then, pumping money into education and propaganda.
Subliminally, it's been there. It's been in the people's back of their minds. And
I think it's more there because of their effort.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in my mind, I'm trying to say something else that my mouth is saying.
I mean, the racism was a major factor? Because I don't disagree with you there either. But I think that,
I think it wasn't ready in the 80s, but
yeah.
For sure, people are like, oh, yeah, that sounds familiar. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways.
The timing hadn't been right then for a variety of reasons. But by 2010, the timing was right. And that's why the 2010 midterms did not go well for the Democratic Party or for Barack Obama. Now, in 2012, the Koch brothers spent a record-breaking $412 million on the election. More than what the top 10 unions in the United States had donated combined. So they are essentially working as a union for rich people, but there's a lot more money in that than any trade union. Clearly, all that money wasn't enough to stop Barack Obama from winning re-election, but overall, the Koch efforts were wildly successful. As Jane Mayer summarized in Dark Money, thanks in no small part to huge quantities of targeted money spent by the Kochs and their allied donors, the Democratic Party lost both houses of Congress, 14 governorships, and 30 state legislatures, compromising more than 900 seats during Obama's presidency. So their efforts are successful. This money does not go to nothing. But if the last 20 years have seen Charles Koch's grand scheme come close to fruition, it is beginning to look like he may have reached the limits of what money can buy. During the 2016 election, the Koch brothers and their network of political organizations had, collectively, a larger payroll than the Republican Party. The Kochs employed 1,600 staffers in 35 states, which gave them 3 times the manpower of the Republican Party. The Kochs originally planned to spend close to $1 billion on the 2016 election, but the rise of Donald Trump took them as much by surprise as it took everyone else. See, the Kochs actually love immigration, illegal or otherwise. They love free trade and trade deals like NAFTA and the Pacific Partnership because those things make shitloads of money for business owners. Donald Trump was exactly the kind of conservative they did not want to see win election. So they cut their election spending by hundreds of millions of dollars and put a huge chunk of what they were going to still spend into state races instead. The current CIA director, for example, Michael Pompeo, received more funding than any other congressional candidate from the Kochs. Dark Money suggests that what happened between 2010 and 2016 is that essentially the rabid anti-government, anti-regulation, anti-left sentiment that Charles and David Koch spent hundreds of millions of dollars to inculcate finally grew beyond them. They helped create the movement that morphed into Trumpism, but during its evolution, they lost control of it. One former Koch employee said this during the 2016 election, quote, "We are partly responsible. We invested a lot in training and arming a grassroots army that was not controllable." So conflicts have continued between the Kochs and now President Trump. Most recently, the Koch network refused to support a Republican in a tight race in North Dakota because of his Trumpist views on trade. After that news broke, Donald Trump tweeted, quote, "The globalist Koch brothers, who have become a total joke in real Republican circles, are against strong borders and powerful trade. I never sought their support because I don't need their money or bad ideas. They love my tax and regulation cuts, judicial picks, and more. I made them richer. Their network is highly overrated. I have beaten them at every turn. They want to protect their companies outside the U.S. from being taxed. I'm for America first and the American worker, a puppet for no one. Two nice guys with bad ideas. Make America great again."
No!
Yeah. I half agree with the president there. The Kochs do have bad ideas. I do not agree about there being nice guys.
Two nice guys, bad ideas, though. These guys over here, nice guys, but bad ideas.
Nice guys. I really like what they're doing with pipelines filled with holes blowing up neighborhoods. That's a nice guy move. Classic nice guy move.
Bad ideas, though.
Bad ideas. In 1990, when their mother died, Charles Koch basically hid information about the funeral from his brothers Frederick and Bill. Frederick missed his mom's funeral, and Bill had to charter a private plane to get there on time. Not nice guys. Charles grew up to be just as much of a terrible parent as his own dad had been. When he saw his son Chase play what Dark Money describes as a half-hearted tennis match, Charles ordered him sent to work in a filthy feedlot 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, until he got better at tennis, presumably. Meanwhile, Charles's daughter Elizabeth had this to say about coming home to see her father during the summer while she was at college. Quote, "As soon as we arrived, I felt an overwhelming urge to prostrate myself on the floor and eat dirt in order to illustrate how grateful I am for everything they've done for me, that I'm not the spoiled monster they warned me I'd become if I wasn't careful." She described trying to earn her father's approval as staring down that dark well of nothing you do will ever be good enough, you privileged waste of flesh. This is how Charles's daughter describes how she feels in her dad's presence. It's impossible to say right now whether Chase or Elizabeth will also concoct a decades-long conspiracy to influence American political thought. What I will say is that it seems like the unique mix of obscene wealth and insane abusive pettiness that made Charles Koch the man he is today will at least have a chance with another generation of born billionaires. Boy howdy, isn't inherited wealth grand?
Wow, you're speechless.
Yeah. What else is there to say?
I feel my heart breaks in a sad way for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Generations, huh?
Yeah, because, like, Charles Koch didn't have to be the asshole he is, but the way he was raised made it very low odds that he was going to turn out to be this very compassionate guy, for sure.
I hope his kids are compassionate.
I hope his kids are better than him. I hope they've looked at the life their dad's led and realized I doubt he's a happy man.
No.
Because I don't think he's capable of having close relationships with people.
Yeah, he's probably blinded by his ideas.
Yeah.
Who can say what's really in another person's heart?
Yeah, and maybe I'm just being hopeful that he's miserable because he's done miserable things. He's just the happiest clam in the clam factory.
No, he's probably a miserable person, but he's unaware that he's a miserable person.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what it can be to, like, have a father who cares about you and kids that you feel warmly towards and are proud of,
right?
Like those that are alien to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lost that boxing once, you know?
Yeah, he did lose it boxing once.
You lose that boxing once. And it...
Yeah, protesters, if you wind up protesting a Koch thing in the future, really drive home that he's bad at boxing. That seems to be a sore spot.
I wouldn't. You'll probably die. Probably put a hit on you.
Yeah.
I've
Charles
really
Koch.
Enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed this terrible story of a terrible person.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been thinking a lot and got sad for a little while and then got happy again and then I got sad a lot. And then it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get in my car.
Do something
wander
else.
out my day.
So at the end of this, are you more or less optimistic?
Oh, less. Oh, for sure, less, but also a little bit more. It's nice to hear that his kids are, like, aware enough to be like, oh, when I come home, this is how I feel. This is not how I want to feel. And maybe they'll change. Maybe they can be like, hey, actually, we can make a difference. But,
yeah.
You know, he probably has it all lined up with the industry that somebody else just like him is going to take over. And
It's hard to imagine, someone good taking over. It is kind of heartening to me, even though Trump is the result, that they did lose control of this movement that they built, because it does mean that there are limits to what wealth can buy.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like what it ran out of control and turned into.
The foreshadowing of things to come.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I feel like America's on a good road right now.
And you know what I love to have on those good road trips?
Doritos. Hey, we brought it back around. Well, I eat the rest of this bag of Doritos like some sort of cheese goblin.
Please save some for me.
Will do. Why don't you plug your pluggables first?
Great. You can catch me on the internet at evermainard.com, MAINARD, and ever like the word. Twitter, Instagram at Ever Mainard. I'm doing shows all around LA, maybe in a place near you soon. Who knows? And then I'm on Netflix in a movie called The Feels. Watch it, watch it. Yeah, watch it. Tweet at me. Oh, no haters, please. I'm a sensitive soul. But also, like I said, I love to comment, and I do so aggressively. Yelp, Reddit, any place. Sometimes I'll just go to Yahoo. Comment.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Yahoo comment.
I love answering things wrong on Yahoo Answers.
Oh, I didn't know I could do that, but I will be aggressively commenting on Yahoo Answers.
Yeah, stuff like that, Quora, I really like just sabotaging it.
Okay.
Giving people bad advice on how to treat first aid injuries and stuff.
Hey, that's not okay.
No, I'm just...
You're not kidding.
No. We all try to seed the world in our own way.
I guess so. Let those mud frogs come up.
You plant the seeds,
and
then the
mud frogs come up.
And then...
What did I tell you about those mud frogs?
All right, you can find this mud frog on Twitter at iWriteOK. You can find this podcast on the internet at BehindTheBastards.com, where we'll have all of the many, many sources for this episode listed. And you can also find us at BastardsPod on Twitter and Instagram, where we will be tweeting and Instagramming things.
Hooray!
Yeah. So until next week, we will be talking about some other terrible person or group of people. I'm Robert Evans, and, I love about 40% of you, statistically.
A BetterHelp ad. We get it. February is full of flowers, candy, and, of course, lots of talk about relationships. It can feel like everyone else has it all together in their love lives. But the truth is, we're all still figuring it out. Whether you're working on your marriage, navigating the dating apps, or prioritizing staying single, no matter where you are, you're right on time. Therapy can help you find your way and take some of the pressure off yourself so you can determine what you want, what feels heavy, and how you can feel lighter. Just a little bit of outside perspective from a professional can lead to new understanding and a lot of progress. So the next time you're feeling iffy about your love life, try therapy with BetterHelp and see where it takes you. And remember, you're right on time. Visit BetterHelp.com for 10% off. That's BetterHelp.com.
After the rush of the holidays, what you really want is your space back. Pura is a smart home fragrance system designed to help you feel calm, grounded, and at ease, without adding one more thing to your routine. Control scent intensity, schedules, and timing right from your phone. And right now, get a free Pura home diffuser when you subscribe to 2 cents for 12 months, risk-free for 30 days. It's restoration made simple. Visit Pura.com to get started now.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit WashableSofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.